This was the worst Marvel event of the last 25 years. The art was like nails in my eyes and the writing was stiffer than snotsicles. It is a black stain on the legacy of Marvel Comics and everybody who worked on it should be ashamed of themselves. Well, okay, it's not that bad, but it's just not good. Howdy, I'm Kurt Williams, and today we're talking about Blood Hunt by Jed MacKay and Pepe Larraz. Now, Marvel put a lot of time into advertising this series because it was supposed to be the big blockbuster summer event of 2024, and I was super excited about it because it had Pepe Larraz on the art, and I think that Pepe Larraz is one of the greatest artists working at Marvel right now. I don't really care about Blade or vampires or even the Avengers that much, but I will read anything that Pepe Larraz draws. And considering how bad Marvel events have been for like the last decade, I'm talking about Avengers, X-Men Eternals, Heroes Reborn, Empire, War of the Realm, Secret Empire, Civil War II, Axis, and many, many more, we were due for a win, and this one looked like it was gonna be a win. And then that first issue came out and blew my mind with how fast-paced and hard-hitting it was. It was probably the freshest start to a Marvel event that I've read in the last decade at least. But it did not continue to deliver. The first reason I think it didn't deliver was because we only had 5 issues. That's pretty short for a big blockbuster event. And it's not impossible for an event to be bad if there's fewer issues. Siege only had 4 issues, and that one was pretty good. But the typical issue count for a really good Marvel event is 7 issues. I'm thinking about Fear Itself, Civil War, House of M, Secret Invasion, things like that. And in the case of Blood Hunt, 5 issues did feel cramped. And I know that there's a billion tie-ins where all the other stuff gets to play out. But look, I don't read tie-ins anymore. Especially when you have something like 50 or 60 issues of tie-ins. This event was massive with the amount of tie-ins it had, and I'm just not gonna buy all those. The last time that I read tie-in issues to an event that I thought were good was all the way back in Civil War, and the good tie-in issues were Fantastic Four and Spider-Man, and both of those were written by J. Michael Straczynski. And those, by the way, are some of the best Marvel comics you'll ever read. And okay, I guess Avengers vs. X-Men had some good tie-ins too. But anyway, that's the first reason I think this event wasn't very good. It just wasn't enough space to tell a good story. The second reason I was underwhelmed is because of the cast of characters. We're really only dealing with characters that Jed MacKay has previously been writing in his own series. We've got the Avengers, the Defender team, or whatever they're called now, and Doctor Strange as the main characters, and Jed MacKay has been writing those series now for a little while. So yes, we have Iron Man and Thor and Sam Wilson, Captain America, but we don't have the star power of Steve Rogers or Peter Parker Spider-Man or the Fantastic Four or any characters of the X-Men. So it really doesn't feel like a full Marvel Universe event. It feels like just the characters that Jed MacKay is allowed to play with kind of event. Which is fine, you can have events that just focus on a few characters, but not summer blockbuster events that you advertise in every single comic for months and months. Not to mention the sheer level of carnage that was caused in Manhattan in particular is the kind of thing that should draw the attention of all the other superheroes. I get that they were busy in their own situations, in their own series, with vampires wherever they were, but Manhattan seems to be where the real problem is, right? So they should probably go there. I bought the red band version of every issue, so it's a little bit more graphic than the regular version, but the graphicness of the red band version just makes it even more ridiculous that the other superheroes don't show up, because this is really dark. And considering how many people are brutally murdered in this series, there is no time for us to just sit with that and feel the weight of all these murders. If you don't know the basic plot of Blood Hunt, it's basically all the vampires took over the world by getting a bunch of superheroes or villains who have access to the dark force to block out the sun so the vampires can do whatever they want. And then there's this one like primordial vampire that has taken over Blade, and now Blade is running all the vampires and he's got a kill squad of super powerful vampires that can take down the Avengers, but the Avengers bounce back, and then it's honestly very Deus Ex Machina. The real problem that I have with the plot is that everything gets cleaned up so nicely. Black Panther gets turned into a vampire, but he just shrugs it off. Miles Morales gets turned into a vampire, but conveniently he doesn't actually have any bloodlust. He just has fangs and he can still walk around in the daylight like nothing happened. And there's probably millions of people dead all over the world and probably tens of thousands dead in Manhattan, but we just don't care about that because we beat the vampires, hooray. There were a couple lasting effects of the series, and this is really all the series was for, now that I've finished it, was these couple things it's setting up. The first is Moon Knight is back from the dead, but I haven't been reading anything Moon Knight related, so I don't really care. And the second is Doctor Doom is now the Sorcerer Supreme, and that's gonna lead lead into another event in November. And there's a part where Doctor Strange asks Doctor Doom if he engineered this whole situation so that Doctor Strange would have to give that mantle of Sorcerer Supreme to Doctor Doom. And of course Doom doesn't answer, which implies that, yeah, he probably did engineer this whole thing so that he could get this power and lead into something else. But you know what? I've got the same question for Marvel. Did they really set up this whole series with one of my favorite artists and make me spend $7 or $6 on each issue just so that they could set up another event? Because let me tell you, good Marvel events have substance, and this one did not have any substance to it. I mean, listen, the art is really good. Pepe Larraz is amazing at big cinematic stuff as well as very elegant facial expressions and body language. And his art lends weight to just about anything, but this script is just boring enough that it seems corny because of how much weight the art is trying to give it. There are a lot of speeches and cliche statements being made by like Captain Marvel and Captain America that just don't have as much power as they should because they don't have enough build up to them. It's just big statement right after big statement, and it's just too much. So I know that I'm being a little bit more vague than usual. Normally I go into more details on exactly what I liked and disliked about it, but I feel so meh towards the whole thing. It just wasn't. It was underwhelming. I'm disappointed. I feel like I wasted my money and I wasted my time, and it's not even going to amount to anything anyway, and if there was good storytelling, it probably happened in a random tie-in issue, and it's just a bummer. So if you can find like a trade paperback version of it for $5 or $10 at some convention sometime, then yes, it's worth it. But don't go out and get every single issue, especially don't bother getting every Red Band issue because it's more expensive that way, and it's really not worth it. So let's just hope that somebody gives Pepe Larraz the chance to do a really good event series that takes its time and can be good. Because even his last event series, Big Game with Mark Miller, was a little bit squished as well. That was just 5 issues and a ton of stuff to squish into 5 issues. Stop wasting such enormous talent on stories that are too quickly paced. So I'm going to give Blood Hunt the series a low 7 out of 10 points, and it's really only that high because of Pepe Larraz's art, which is amazing. Overall, I thought it was cliche and pointless and didn't have the characters I wanted to see. Did you read it? What do you think?